Use the closure?
Yeah, they're doing it to
Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Dr. Alex G. I am the CEO and founder of the Center for Black Excellence in Culture, and I am happy to be here in the Senate parlor to acknowledge the receipt of a gift and a grant to our project through the federal government, thanks to our representative, Congressman Mark Pocan, of $1 million. I'm so excited about that. In just a few moments, our congressman is going to have some words, and he said that I could go first. But what this means for our center is that not only have we been supported at the city level, the county level, and the state level, we have now been supported at a federal level, which means that we have already begun our journey to becoming a national model right here in Madison, Wisconsin, for African-American, Black community-based community development, program development, and excellence. I am so excited. I'm excited also to be flanked by our own Alder Sherry Carter and our state representative Sheila Stubbs, who have been so supportive of this project. Appreciate late night conversations, early morning conversations, last minute conversations. And they've never failed to show up and to show their support. Just a few things that I'd like to share with you all. This federal funding is recognition that the center shows much more importance than just our mere region, but we're quickly becoming, as I mentioned, a national model of what happens when the Black community is given the space and the resources to bring true, sustained change to the community. Thanks to you, Congressman Pocan, and your leadership, we now have supported all of those levels, and it means a lot to us. I also want to mention, is that Congressman Pocan has really gone above and beyond just getting the funding for the center. It goes beyond the $1 million from the federal budget. But in the last few weeks, some in Washington, D.C. were trying to rescind the $225 million to state and local government grants that were already committed to Wisconsin. Talk about making Black people mad. The same type of grants that were already provided $5 million, that provided $5 million for the center. But Congressman Pocan led the effort to save that money and to ensure worthy projects like the center receives the funds that we need and deserve. He's a true friend to the center, and we cannot thank you enough. We are thrilled that our capital campaign has already raised $17 million. In the past 6 months.
Wow. Yeah.
That is an incredible achievement, but we've got a ways to go. And so this gift and this moment to share where we are helps us to communicate to the broader community. If we've come this far in 6 months, we can and will complete this project. And so whether you're a business executive or a leader of an organization or a community member who wants to see dreams become a reality, we'd love your help. You can learn more, you can give a gift to our center at theblackcenter.org. Let me also just say that a few times people have asked, what's the importance of culture? Like, don't we need after school programs and don't we need other kinds of things? And we do. I'm a recipient of those programs. I've helped to run those programs for the past 30 years at my nonprofit. But why are we focusing on culture? Culture is omnidirectional. It connects us with the past for strength and perspective. Culture connects us vertically for faith and stamina. Our culture helps us to look downward with humility and gratitude. And it helps us to look horizontally to the power that comes from being unified with each other in our Black community. And it helps us to look forward with expectant hope. Culture isn't merely what we listen to or what we observe in frames or in display cases. No, culture shapes how we insert our voices because we need to hear it. And it shapes how we see the world that is incomplete without us in it and on center stage. The absence of culture denies our humanity. However, the celebration of our culture affirms our humanity and it marks our place in the world. When we bequeath this type of culture to the next generation, we generate greatness and we expect excellence. And so again, I want to thank all of you for being here, but I want to say again to Congressman Mark Pocan, thank you so much for believing in our vision, for understanding that greatness comes from culture, and that the same work and faith and story that has sustained us in this country for 400 years will propel us into a future of excellence, and is based upon our culture. So thank you for not only believing in the project, but for believing in us and believing in the place and the space and the importance of Black culture. Congressman,
well, first of all, I really want to say thank you to Reverend G and so many friends who are here today who are behind this project. It's not an understatement to say that this is a national project as far as importance. There was an article maybe a month ago through this process, and this has been a long process because our fiscal year ended September 30th and we just got it done 2 weeks ago. But there was a national article, and this was one of the focused earmarks that they talked about in the national article about what was going on. And this is something our community has needed and needs, and this vision and this incredible group of folks and many others who are behind this, this is what's going to make our community continue to be such a special place, and why we all love to live here in South Central Wisconsin. So as we reopened what I believe community supported funding, I don't know, it's earmarks, okay? I'm just going to call it what everyone understands. The bottom line is, as an elected official, we know our district better than anyone sitting in a cubicle in Washington, D.C. And we know the community needs. And, when I talk to people like Alex or, one of my original mentors, Rick Phelps, and my great colleagues in local and state government and so many others, this project is exactly what it was intended for. We reformed the process around earmarks to make sure. I served on a modernization committee, an evenly split committee between Democrats and Republicans, and we recommended bringing them back. So it was in a bipartisan way that we recommended it. The Appropriations Committee took it, and it really is that we know the district best, and its needs just like this. The fact that we can be a small part of it, but more important, hopefully this is a sign to so many other people that this is an important project. And the more that we can get behind a project like this, the better off our community overall will be. So I'm just really excited that we finally brought those back in Congress. It's been 10 years I've been waiting, and we got them.
We've been waiting.
But I really just want to say thank you for your vision. It's been great to know you for so many years, but to see this project now where it's at is really, really exciting, and just so happy we could have a small part at the federal level. And I want to also thank Senator Tammy Baldwin as well. What's interesting, please. We worked together on a lot of this stuff, and by asking for things in the House and the Senate and the way we kind of did things behind the scenes is what made it happen. So again, just very excited to be a part of this, and I can't wait to step foot in the building when it opens.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Sure.
Just wanted to ask real quick. I know you said we've had 17 million raised. Where does that put us in kind of towards the final goal? How much are we looking to raise final? And what does that mean in terms of timeline when we might start to see shovels in the dirt and see the center physically kind of take shape?
Sure, it puts us almost at the halfway point. We need to raise a total of $36 million. So 17 million puts us really close. And as soon as we get that, we'll put shovels in the ground. We can do that later this year, early next year. And so the hard part has happened. We've listened to hundreds and hundreds of Black individuals in our community who have spoken into this process, who have affirmed this process, who have given to this process. And so really the easier part is just raising the dollars because the vision is set. It's really been affirmed. And so we just need the community to help us to get to that finish line ASAP so that we can put that shovel in the ground. We'd love to see the center open in 2023, late 2023, but that's all stipulated on fundraising. And if we've come this far, as I said earlier, in 6 months, we are completely confident that we can get there by the end of the year.
Has the speed with which you've raised this money, has it kind of, met expectations, exceeded? Where's that kind of been as to what you were thinking when we first kind of announced this project?
I think it's exceeded it. It's more money than I've raised in my entire life. And so the team had to coach me to actually sit in front of people and ask for money without flinching. And so once I got used to talking about money, it was doable. My first time I slipped and said 10,000 instead of 10 million because I wasn't used to that many zeros. And so and that CEO of that company laughed at me later at dinner, but also lauded me and my team for having the boldness to really ask for big gifts for such a big project. And one of the things that's come out of our meetings is that the price tag is commensurate with the issues. That if we really want to address these issues, you can't get a class act result with a small budget or with a small budget. So we have to raise the kind of money that will help us to deal with these issues and to bring a sense of excellence and a sense of cultural home to our community. We've spent way more than this over the past several decades at things that didn't completely eradicate the disparities. We want to address this in a way that puts Black people in the driving seat or the driver's seat to find real solutions. We're too experienced and too intelligent, frankly, to merely quote and restate the problems. We have made city, county government, university, businesses very successful. None of us considers ourselves a Black leader. We are leaders who happen to be Black. We've made this entire community great. We know what we can do in our community if the broader community understands that we know what we're doing and support this work. It is Black led, but it needs to be funded and supported by the entire community because the benefits of this will reach the entire community.
How did the conversations between the two of you to get this included in the omnibus bill begin? How did that?
Come on up with me. Okay, here we go. So I think we were just talking about, Rick said, I'm glad you still had the same phone number. I think that was the initial start. But, you know, I've always had so much respect for everything that Reverend G has done. And when he brought the concept up and we had a chance to talk about it, and then I got a chance to get the formal presentation through all this, I mean, there's no question this is something that our community was desperately thirsty for and so needed. And the fact that there's such a great group of people behind this vision, all because, again, of this guy right here, I'm going to say, I just was really, you know, it was such an easy path forward for us to want to do something. The difficulty probably for us is just finding the right lines of federal, not every line of dollars was open up and kind of going through that process. But, you know, when you see something like this with a support like this, there's no question this was a good decision. And really, I'm hoping more than anything, it helps to bring in additional dollars and people understand the huge importance. But this guy's persuasive. Let's just put it that way. So.
Well, the congressman might not remember, but perhaps 8 or 9 years ago, he came and spent a morning with my staff. It was the first time that anyone who represented us on a federal level actually came to see our work. And I knew one of his interns and put us in touch. We met in his office. He says, I want to come and meet your team sometime, and followed up and sat with us and got to meet the team and said, I'll be watching what you're doing. If there's anything that I can do down the road, let me know. And he kept that door open. And I appreciate the fact that you have not forgotten the grassroots nature of your work on a county level and more of a local level, so that when you went to Washington, you didn't forget the issues of the local community nor the people within the local community. And that's the type of representation we're fortunate to have here in the state of Wisconsin.
Yes.
Dr. G, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you said some people might say that you should put this money towards after-school programs or other initiatives in the community. How will you make this a whole community experience and ensure that everybody has access to the resources we need?
Sure. I think it's important for us to demonstrate that the Black community is not monolithic. And so we don't have to do all things. And so we're not an after-school program, and to the chagrin and lament of my nephew, who I think almost cussed me out at dinner last week, we do not have a gym in this. He's still mad at his mom and myself. So we have to understand, we want to take a unique approach. There are places where kids will be able to play basketball. Through my nonprofit Nehemiah, we do have after-school programs. And so what leaders of color need to fight is not only that people confuse what we're doing and conflate it into one activity, but they want us to do everything. And we really can't do it. That's like the first rule of business. You can't do everything. We found our niche, we found our community, we found our supporters, we found our vision. We're really staying to that. So the way we make it available to the whole community is by saying we're focusing on excellence, we're focusing on culture, we want to look at STEAM and STEM education. I was talking with Dr. Maddox earlier about needing to talk about foreign language and helping our kids to be ready to be true global citizens, not just because of math and science, but their ability to communicate. And by having the constant support of Black community leaders, and I want to also underscore that that's not code for African American, but it's African, Caribbean, Afro-Latino, and North American Black folks, that as we're broadening our footprint, what we're really wanting to zero in on is the strength and the beauty of the African diaspora and how it has had an impact on the city, county, the state, and the region. And so I think in that regard, we can meet the needs of the community who wants to be propelled forward by understanding what's brought us to this particular point. And that's the lane that we're staying in, but we support every other effort because they're needed. But we have really pushed back on the need that this has got to be multicultural, that it's got to do all things. When we take a look at the Race Equity Report, the State of Black Madison that came out by the Urban League in 2010, I believe, we see what's happening to Black people. And so we felt that if we can be mentioned in reports, medical reports, racial battle fatigue, social determinants of health, if we can be the focus of reports that talk about the things that are happening to us, then we can also determine our destiny and say we're going to design things that help us, heal us, and propel us forward. And so we're staying that course, and we believe that that's why the dollars have come in, because we're resolute on what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that focus helps us.
Yes. Wow. Yes.
Do you have any planned events or any other initiatives that you have for people to participate in donating money and get more information about the initiative?
Oh, that's a great question. I want to throw a party when we reach the halfway mark, and I'm hoping that we're close to that. So I think that's probably the next mile marker for us when we really do hit that halfway point. It's amazing to think that 95% of the fundraising has happened over a computer. In fact, I was with my colleague this week. Betty and I made a call together. I think it was the first one of the few I've done in person. So it was strange actually sitting with people. They offered us tea and I didn't know how we were going to get it through the screen. And so now that things seem to be safer to be able to get out, we want to be able to have more interactions with folks. We are planning something on the 13th, help me team, the 13th of April, where we are bringing donors together. We're having a reception and a gathering at a local business to just thank people for their donations, to also cast vision even more. And that's going to be at Findorf's offices. We're going to have a reception. I think that's the next planned thing. But when we hit the halfway mark soon, we want to do something and probably call some type of gathering so we can share that point with the media. Because that's the real tipping point. Once we hit that halfway point, we believe that our strategy shifts a bit so that we begin to talk to more of individuals inside our community or around the country, and not just corporations and foundations. That we're getting close to the point where we let folks know we need everyone, even those who used to live in Madison and still consider this a place of key influence in their lives. We're reaching outside the state, and I think that helps our efforts as well, that we're not just limited to people who understand Madison or Dane County programming or even statewide programming. We, because of the university, we have a deep alumni connection and network, and folks who are not part of the university but part of Madison. We have a Black community alumni group, not formal, but we have that group that we need to tap into as well.
And considering the programming that you hope to put forward with this program, do you anticipate that it'll create jobs within the center as well?
Oh, definitely, because I'm tired and I can't do 3 jobs anymore. So it definitely does, and not only jobs, but internships in places for young people to work. And I would have to say that's a great question. So thank you. It'll create jobs. But the other thing that it's done is it's emboldened me as a Black leader in this community to be able to say, we are going to spend money with Black businesses. We are going to invest in Black businesses. I'm used to being on the other side of the table saying, can we solicit someone Black or can we work with someone Black? I love being in the position where we can look at Black people who make furniture, who do interior design, interior decoration, food services. That feels very affirming that we are not building a Center for Black Excellence in Culture and not paying Black excellent folks and who are from our culture. I love the fact that culture will drive jobs and will drive the economy, and it will help us to add a very major project to the resumes of the Black organizations that we're working with. And some of them aren't even local or in the state. We're looking very widely. And so, yes, creating jobs, but also creating opportunities for smaller Black-owned businesses to move into the Madison and the Wisconsin markets. Thank you all so much for being here today. Anything else, Congressman?
No, sounds good, man.
All right. We can't have that party at Kirby's house.
Great job, great
I'm so glad you were here. Thank you. I sent Brother Jeff a note. I don't know if you saw it. So just let him know it was so good. It was good.